Alright guys, BusterBarnes here and welcome to this new video of whether I would keep or sell certain players within the Chelsea squad. A bit of a hypothetical here, you know. Obviously we've had a lot of transfer business so far in this window, spent a lot of money, there's still players to sell, still players to come in. But I'm taking this a bit into my own hands, and if I could do anything, you know, if I had full control, I'm going to let you guys know who I think Chelsea should keep or offload, you know, maybe not even this season, but going into the season after. And yes, it's a bit early to say, obviously players could shock or surprise us, but you know, I wanted to, you know, do a different style video for you guys, especially where you could interact down below and tell me in the comments who you guys would keep or sell in the team. If you do enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football and Chelsea FC content as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to start with goalkeepers, and I'm going to start with Willy Caballero, who actually I'm going to just put down as a keep. You know, I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. No reason why we should offload him. He's an experienced goalkeeper, might not be at a superior great level, however, you know, he can save a penalty, he can, you know, control the box to an extent, you know, has a little bit of leadership, so I don't see why, you know, maybe as a third goalkeeper or even a second in cup matches, he still doesn't have a part to play in the team. So, you know, short note on Willy Caballero there, but obviously the main one, Kepa Arrizabalaga, he is definitely going straight in the sell column because he has just been terrible, didn't look that great against Brighton either, and whilst I do think he has potential to still be a great keeper in the future, I just think his, you know, relationship with Chelsea is done. I know him and Lampard still get on, but what I mean is I just don't see him becoming a great goalkeeper for us. You know, he doesn't command his box, you know, he has spaghetti wrists where he gets fingertips to the ball all the time and it still goes in. You know, I just think his time at Chelsea is done, and obviously with these players I'll be talking about replacements that I think should come in. Obviously it's pretty easy with Kepa, obviously we're already linked with and pretty much already confirmed to be buying Edouard Mendy from Rennes, who's obviously a lot taller, has a decent save percentage over his few seasons, comes out and collects crosses, you know, and you know, him speaking French with Zuma and Thiago Silva potentially as the duo in front of him, that could have some, you know, good chemistry between the back lines. So whilst I'm not saying Mendy's going to be amazing, you know, as long as he's okay, you know, that's far better than what Kepa is. So Kepa is going to be a sell for me. Going to left backs, going to start with Ben Chilwell real quick. You know, he's going to be Chelsea's main left back for years and years to come. There's a reason we bought him for 50 million. So yeah, he's an obvious keep for me. No reason I'm going to be trying to sell him anytime soon. I want to go on to Emerson next, who probably won't really feature for us this season if he does stay. Therefore, I'm going to put him on the sell list. You know, we had high aspirations for the guy, you know, especially under Sarri when there was the whole Justice for Emerson movement. However, he just hasn't fulfilled our expectations and doesn't seem to be really that bothered. So hopefully a team like Inter or just any team will take him. I would keep Alonso, who is the next player, over him. Obviously due to the, you know, versatility of him being able to at least play at the three at the back system, where he could be a wing back, you know, effective as one anyway. Obviously I don't want to see him play too much because, like, you know, against Brighton he got absolutely rinsed and murdered by Tariq Lamptey that entire game. So I'm really, you know, rate Lamptey, but you know, Alonso should have been doing a lot better as someone, you know, at his level. However, you know, for a bit of fun, you know, I probably still would, you know, put him down as a sell, because I don't know how much he really offers to the team. Is his experience that crucial? Is he much of a leader? I'm not, you know, too sure. Yes, he can be a fun player to watch, especially for other teams, I think, as well. Other teams' fans, you know, definitely get a kick out of watching Alonso defend terribly, but, you know, score some good goals sometimes. But if I was going to sell him, there's not really, like, big left-back depth in the market at the moment. Obviously, you have Alphonso Davies and you have, you know, other decent left backs as well, but none that will be leaving their clubs anytime soon. So for this, I'd actually look to the academy of Ian Martson and Juan Castillo, two very promising left backs, and there's no reason why either of them can't develop into a great left back. So I'd probably have them behind Chilwell. Obviously, I see why we're keeping Alonso at the moment, though, as obviously, you know, we don't want to throw, you know, some young experienced guys straight in the mix. However, I would like to see one of those two left backs, you know, feature a little bit for us this season, maybe in some cup games, maybe against you know, Barnsley in our cup game. I don't think that will happen, but you know, you never know. I suppose. Also, Aspie can fill in at left back as well, so maybe that makes that slightly more unlikely. But going to right back, speaking of Azpilicueta, he's an obvious keep. He's going to be our captain for probably another 2 or 3 years. Obviously, his game time will decrease as those seasons go on. But, I think Aspie loves the club so much, he'd be happy to, be on the bench for a few seasons. And I think, whilst, he may not be the most vocal all the time, I think, he does lead by example, and it is just great, helping, the younger players, and improving them. And I'm sure he's got a great personality as well. I even see him on Twitter, wishing well to, other YouTubers and stuff like that. So he's obviously a great guy and a great guy to have around the dressing room. Going to centre-backs, obviously Thiago Silva's a keep. Not too sure how long he's going to be with us. Probably maybe 2 seasons at the maximum. But, he's going to be great. Hopefully he's going to bring some much-needed solidarity to the defence. Like I said, him, Zuma and Mendy, maybe speaking French, could definitely help, solidify that. It'd be great for players like Reece James. And, maybe Tomori as well, if he doesn't go on loan to play next to someone like Thiago Silva. He might not be as great as he used to be, but I still think he'll definitely be a big asset for the team this season. Going on to Kurt Zuma, who was Chelsea's best centre-back last season in my opinion. He's definitely a keep. He's still only 25. People talk about what Chelsea centre-backs in the future could look like. Kurt Zuma's still 25, so he could still be a starting centre-back for us in 3 to 4 years' time. Not too sure, but he's obviously definitely going to be a keep this season, guys. I think him and Silva will be our main centre-back duo this season. Going on to Andreas Christensen, and whilst he had a decent game against Brighton, he would be a sell for me. I know people are scared that he could become a great centre-back in the future for a different team, and I personally think that would happen. But I don't think he's going to become a great centre-back for Chelsea. I think we can still get, a decent fee for him, maybe 30 million if the right team can call in. So, Christensen, we have 5 centre-backs now, and I know Tomori's likely to go on loan, but I don't see why you wouldn't just have Tomori as, our main backup to Zuma or Silva, as him and Zuma, played well together last season. He could learn after Silva. So, and with that, I would sell Christensen. The reason I'd keep Rudiger over Christensen is because I personally still think Rudiger's a bit better. He had a bit of an off-season last year, but he's had 2 good seasons before that, so no reason why he can't pick his game up. Also, he's, a bit more vocal. He's a bit more of a leader, a bit of a soldier on the pitch, which you can't really say Christensen is. And also, he did have a hand in signing Timo Werner and Kai Havertz as well. So he's definitely going to stay this season. Maybe if he doesn't get much game time or carries on making his mistakes, we'll look to sell him at the end of this season. But, I'll put him as a keep, for now, for this season, Antonio Rudiger. I like him, so I do hope he, picks up his form sometime this season. Going on to the last centre-back, Tomori. I was thinking of maybe including a loan option in this video. However, there wasn't that many other players that I was thinking of loaning. Tomori, if he went on loan, I don't think would be the worst thing. Obviously, he'd be getting, minutes, which would definitely help him out. Personally, I still think that him, being the main backup to Zuma or Silva could still be good. Silva won't play every single game this season as he is quite old, so there could be 50% or 35% of games that Tomori will be available to play, especially if Zuma or Silva get injured as well. So I don't necessarily think him staying would be a bad or would be a detriment to him. So yeah, Tomori's obviously a keep. I think he'll be a future Chelsea centre-back, or at least I hope so. He has great qualities. He is a leader. He's a smart guy. So hopefully Tomori can be a Chelsea centre-back for the future. If I was, however, going to look at other centre-backs, if, like, for example, Rudiger or Christensen were both going to be offloaded, obviously you can look at the academy again. Ampadu, 20 years old, on loan to Sheffield United. I'm not too sure yet whether I'd prefer him in, say, a centre-back role or a defensive midfielder role. He has bulked up, to be fair to him. He's not the tallest, so 6 foot still on the right height. But personally, when I look at him, I see more of a CDM, as his passing is very good. But and he obviously plays CDM for Wales. I think he's played centre-back there for them as well. But Ampadu has really great captain characteristics in him. I know Chelsea rate him a lot. So Ampadu's definitely one to look at for the future of Chelsea centre-backs. Another 2 good options. Ben White, if he does well this season. Obviously, we were linked to him at the start. Would definitely be too soon for him to have like a main role in a side like Chelsea. But if he does do well at Brighton for the next 1 or 2 seasons, could definitely be an option for us. Also, obviously, the main one that a lot of people talk about, Upamecano from RB Leipzig. He could go anyway, there'll be loads of teams after him, Bayern, United, City. Do I think he'll be a Chelsea player? Probably not. However, I wouldn't rule out, Chelsea looking at him. I'm sure loads of teams are. he could, and well, I mean, he probably will be a great centre-back, and he could be a great centre-back if he did join somewhere like Chelsea. He's French as well, so, if he replaced Thiago Silva, him, Zuma, and, Mendy at the back, that could be, a nice little connection there. But, unlikely to happen, so I'll leave that there. Moving up next to the midfield, I'm going to start with Angola Kante, and I know some people think we should sell him, and I mean, obviously, if we got 100 or over 100 million for him, then maybe, I wouldn't be too surprised or upset to see him go. However, I still think, he's got his best still in him. He was injured a lot last season. Provided he can keep his fitness, there's no reason why he can't have another great season, but be a key player for us, maybe even be the player of the season for us again. I definitely keep him, this season. Even if we brought in another defensive midfielder, I don't see why you'd get rid of someone like Kante with his experience, for this season, especially when we're trying to, develop a team, and we want, a bit more experience or a bit of solidity in there while other players get used to playing for Chelsea. All these new transfers coming in, having someone like Kante there would definitely help people gel, I do believe. So he's a definite keep. Okay, so the next player is Kovacic. Now, controversially, I may not actually rate Kovacic as much as some other people do. However, he is obviously a keep. He brings great qualities. He can speak 5 languages as well, so he's definitely an asset when it comes to all these new players coming in. Do I see him as like, a key Chelsea player for seasons to come? I'm not too sure. It depends how he feels about his role, but a lot of people have their best Chelsea 11, including him in. I'm not too sure I necessarily agree. I don't want to rag on him. I do think he deserved our player of the season last season. He was our most consistent player. But he's definitely a keep for this season. Probably the season after as well. However, if players like Loftus-Cheek, like Mount, Havertz reach the potential that we want them to reach, I could maybe see Kovacic slipping down the pecking order a little bit. But that is only that's figurative. So I guess we'll see what happens with him. Going next, we've actually got young Billy Gilmore. Now, maybe he'd be someone that I'd look to put on loan. However, if we're not doing loans, he is just obviously a keep. He could be a great asset for the future. He's not the biggest, but he's aggressive. He's got a great passer already for his age. He's composed. He shows great personality, and whilst I think he maybe should go on loan, maybe not this season, the season after, I do think he is a future, Chelsea asset, and maybe he'll be someone who'll be a future Chelsea captain as well. It will be difficult to see, how he does in his role, regarding his size, but I mean, there's other small players that have done well in the Premier League as well, like Kante, for example, so there's no reason why Gilmore can't do the same. Moving on to Georginio. Now, Georginio obviously is our vice-captain, and I was umming and ahhing a bit because he does have leadership, and with all these transfers coming in, you don't want to get rid of too many of your experienced players, because, you don't just want a team that doesn't know each other at all and with no leaders. But if we're, talking retrospectively, I would sell Georginio. I just think he's a square, peg in a round hole. He doesn't fit our system, unfortunately. He is a very unique speciality player, and I think the issue is like no one really wants him because Sarri's obviously left Juventus, and other teams don't know where he'd fit. But obviously he could go back to Italy. Obviously with COVID as well, it's kind of hard to get a decent money valuation for him for what we bought him for. But if I was going to sell Georginio, obviously I'd be bringing in Declan Rice, and Declan Rice is a guy who you could also talk about for the centre-back position. Other fans who don't watch, West Ham that much or know that much about Declan Rice think like centre-back. That makes no sense. But Declan Rice has played centre-back before. He is a leader, and I think him at defensive midfield or centre-back could be great. Probably more likely to be defensive midfield. With Kante getting older, he would probably slot in and fill that role, and probably be a bit more defensive-minded and a bit more secure. He's also got great leadership qualities. Has it already captained West Ham at such a young age. So Declan Rice is definitely a player I would look to bring in. If we're going higher in the pitch to midfielders, Ross Barkley I would look to sell. I think he's had some good performances for us, and fair play to him. He's obviously okay, or trying his best still, even though he's a bit part player. But with Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Mount and Havertz all occupying those central midfield positions, there's not really that much room for Barkley, and still as an English player we could get a decent valuation for him. There was talk of us maybe including him in the deal for Declan Rice, so that would be great to see if that did happen. But yeah, Barkley, I respect the guy, I don't hate him, but he would be a sell. Ruben Loftus-Cheek is definitely a keep for me, at least for this season. Now, this could depend on if he gets another big injury. I think if he has another big long-term injury, that could unfortunately be his Chelsea career over. He didn't perform very well against Brighton. However, I do think it's going to take him a little bit of time still to come back from his, big injury he had. And I do think it is just a matter of he needs a goal. He needs just some confidence brought back into him. And I do think that he will improve a lot. Maybe he's not the best number 10. I think he'd be more of a number 8, or even playing next to Kante in that pivot. I think would be better for him, as he can kind of be a bit like Kovacic, pick up the ball and drive forwards, with his power. So Loftus-Cheek, a player that I would definitely keep, but I'm not too sure about him in the number 10. The next player is Mason Mount. He's an obvious keep. I don't need to say too much about him. Could be a future Chelsea captain. Lampard loves him. Tries hard, work ethic, professional, always getting better. Mason Mount definitely here to stay. Kai Havertz, we've obviously just bought the guy. A lot of rave about him. One of our most expensive players. I think the most expensive German player ever. He's got so many great qualities. People compare him to, a combination of Ozil and Ballack. We've seen him track back. He obviously puts in the effort. He's got an eye for goal, can play in so many positions. He is hopefully going to be a great asset to us for this season and seasons to come. Hakeem Ziak, again, he's obviously a keep. Looked very promising in our pre-season game against Brighton. Unfortunately, he's injured at the moment. But with his, left foot, Chelsea fans have been crying for a left-footed right winger for ages, and hopefully he'll bring some quality to that position. His ball over the top to Hudson-Odoi against Brighton was very promising indeed. Going to Pulisic as well, Captain America, another guy who could be future Chelsea captain. Really picked up at the restart last season, and could definitely be a leader and a more experienced player of our team going forward. Some of the runs he went on, some of the penalties he won, some of the goals he scored, just shout, it's pure quality. So he is definitely going to be a massive player for us in the future. Same with Callum Hudson-Odoi. There's been questions over him. Some people slated him a bit since he came back from injury. Obviously got that new contract. It's still like Loftus-Cheek going to take him a bit of time to settle. I would have liked to have seen him start against Brighton, but in pre-season, Hudson-Odoi has looked very good. Also for the England under-21s, he looks great. And, against Brighton, he still looked very comfortable. And I think this season we are going to see a big improvement from Hudson-Odoi. And I do think that, once Ziyech leaves, because Ziyech is a bit older, so he's probably only got like 2-3 seasons in him as a top Chelsea player. Hudson-Odoi, I think, should easily be able to, hopefully, slot into a nice winger position and be a starter for us. However, obviously, with our 3 main wingers, Ziyech, Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi, you can always look at other players for the wing for that maybe 4th spot. Now, obviously, Havertz, Mount and Loftus-Cheek can all do a job on the wings, so we are quite a versatile squad in that account, so I wouldn't be too worried, guys, if, we are thinking of who's going to play on the wing with these players injured. Obviously, Pulisic and Ziyech are injured at the moment, and we've seen some of those players step into the wing. But some, players that we can look at. Obviously, there's ex-Chelsea winner Boga, who actually went to Sassuolo and has been doing great ever since he joined there. I'm not too sure if you have a buyback clause on him, but he has been great, and he'd be awesome to bring back as maybe a 4th choice winger for us. Obviously, I'm not too sure now he's got the game time if he'd be happy doing that. However, he would be a great option as well. Also going into, Ben Rama as well. He's a player that got linked with us as well. I think is about 25 million. He'd be a great 4th option for us. Shows some great quality. And, as a 4th option, it's not that risky. Obviously, he came from the Championship, so if he didn't work out, him being a 4th winger wouldn't be too bad. However, maybe you wouldn't want to, spend 25 million on that sort of risk, especially when we've got, spent all this money so far. And like I said before, the depth in the team doesn't mean we have to be too worried about the winger position. If players are injured, we have Loftus-Cheek, Mount and Havertz, who, whilst maybe aren't going to be amazing on the wing, will do a solid job. So, we shouldn't be too worried in that respect. Another player that could actually play on the wing, Timo Werner, a new signing for us. Obviously, mainly a striker. Looked really good in his debut against Brighton. Looked very lively, very sharp. Obviously, didn't get a goal, but won a penalty. He's great. He looks like he's got a great attitude after his interview as well. And, I think he will still adapt well to the Premier League, even though it's a bit more physical. I think that, he is a bit stocky. He will, be able to run in behind and cause loads of issues for defenders. So he's definitely a keep. Another definite keep, Tammy Abraham, our top scorer last season. Some people still think that we should sell him and he's a Championship striker. He's our top scorer, guys. 16 goals in the Premier League. You cannot say that striker is bad. A bad striker could not score that many goals. I think it's mainly because his second half of the season wasn't that good. But he was injured, guys. He was carrying an injury throughout that entire time. Obviously, Giroud stepped up. Abraham picked up a few goals towards the end. So, he's a definite keep and could be a great asset for us. Maybe we even see him and Werner play together in the future. And the last player, Giroud. Now, I think I'm going to put him in sell, and that might be a bit, controversial. I'm absolutely fine with us keeping him, by the way, and him being a 3rd striker. However, obviously he's a bit older now. And if we're just talking about, what I'd do, if I had complete control, I do think that, you know, with someone like him who will want, you know, the game time, I think that, you know, he will eventually probably be sold at the end of this season, maybe even by January. I guess maybe I wouldn't sell him. I would probably, you know, keep him, but, you know, obviously you don't want, you know, problems being caused. However, problems weren't caused last season when he wasn't playing. So, you know what, yeah, I think Giroud, I'm going to stick him in sell just because obviously of his age. However, you know, keeping him, definitely nothing wrong with that. And yeah, guys, that is where I would place all of Chelsea's current players this season as to who I would keep and who I would sell. If you disagree or agree with any of the things I've said, please be sure to leave a comment down below giving me your keep and sell list as well. And be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more footballing content, FPL, FIFA, Chelsea previews and reviews. It's all here, guys, all on the BusterBarnes YouTube channel. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and I will see you next time.